Yellow word means it is describing the
all present here. A very warm welcome on the second day of this one-week national training program. It's my privilege to introduce to our today's trainer. She is the HOD, School of Education. She is an expert in the area of science education with a background in environmental science and teachers education. She has taught this subject for nearly 14 years at colleges such as affiliated colleges of GGSIP University, New Delhi. She holds a PhD from the University of Maharishi Nanjan, Ronte. Online courses module supervising pre-service teacher, Australian Institute for Teaching and School Leadership. She has qualified UGC NET education in 2007. She is none other than Dr. Parvesh Lata ma'am. I request ma'am to continue our today's session about problem solving.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, all the managing team of the Shantiniketan International School. Good morning, everyone. So now I would like to start the session that is regarding the problem solving skill, and thanks for this good introductions. So let me share the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I am going to share the screen. My screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Now it is visible.
Yes.
Okay. If there will be any problem, because I have already told Thakre ma'am that sometimes in my area in June I got the problem, then I will just say to you I have already shared the PPT. So if there will be any problem, then you please share. If it is not visible, then please let me know that my voice is going or slide are visible or not. So I'm going to make it a slideshow. Now please tell me now it is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us start the session, that is the problem solving. And there is a what they are saying. The most people spend more time and energy going around problems than in trying to solve them. May I go bilingual? What type of audience is there? Should I go bilingual or in English only?
In English itself, ma'am.
Okay. Because sometimes they need bilingual. So that
okay,
is
ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So many times we spend more time and energy that these are the problems, but we always not try to generate the solution of the problem. And the major point is that problem always there are different kinds of problem are there, and that is the skill that how you are trying to solve them. And this is a very good statement which is given by Henry Ford. So first, what is this problem solving skill? Ma'am, but would you please share my PPT from your side, because again it is blinking from my side. So that is why I have requested Thakre ma'am that you
Okay,
please
ma'am.
share.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm going to stop sharing. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Just wait.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, just wait. So, my voice is recording. Hello. My voice is audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes.
Audible.
Yes, ma'am.
So, now please change the slide. So, problem solving that may be defined. This is the definition of problem solving. See, life is full of problems, and man is able to solve them successfully only if he has proper experience and the art of overcoming difficulties of the education. As the child grows up, he learn new methods of taking the problems. So this habit of making efforts and solving independently the various problems that prove making efforts and that is useful in learning. Okay, there are various facts which are related to the curricular areas and that also help the child in solving actual life problems. So there are various definitions. So it may be defined as a planned attack upon difficulty for the purpose of finding a solution. So it is a method in which a person uses his ability to solve problems which confront him. Okay, so whatever problems are coming, so we try to find the try to find the solution of that problem, and that is the ability of the child or the teacher. So a problem exists for an individual when he has a definite goals. He cannot reach by the behavior pattern which he already has available. Simpson, a problem occurs in a situation in which a felt difficulty that is clearly present and recognized thinker. So it may be a purely mental difficulty. However, is that an individual who meets it as needing a solution. So these are the definitions. Or you can brief this definition like this, that problem solving as a method of teaching that represent a method which provides opportunity to the students for analyzing and solve the problem faced by the students and faced by the student on the basis of previous stock of its knowledge, whatever he is having knowledge and available to him, he independently able to solve the problem. Okay, so this is the definition, and there are various kinds of problem are there, like there are analogical problems, or you can say heuristic, that we will define later on. Then please change the slide. So these are the essential features of a problem. First feature of the problem is that it should be meaningful, it should be interesting, and it should be worthwhile for students. Okay, when we will go for the steps of the problem solving this skill. So first is that you should present the problem to the solution, that you should present the problem to the students. So first essential feature of a problem is that it should be meaningful, it should be interesting, and it should be worthwhile for the student, and it should have correlation with the life also. So, and again, another feature of the problem is that it should have correlation with the life, correlation with the other subjects, because nowadays the concept is going to be multidisciplinary. Okay, so it should have correlation with other subjects. Then it should arise out of the real needs of the student. It should be clearly defined. It should have educational value. Again, the feature, most important feature of a problem is that it should have the solution to be find out by the student. So these are the some features of a problem. Next is approaching a problem. So approaching a problem, that how you are going to approach a problem. So see, nature of the problem is quite diverse always. It is not a similar kind. So there are various categories of the problem. That problem can be classified into certain broad categories, like academic problems are there, like administrative problems are there, and personal problems are there.
So align within these category, you may find various variations. Okay. For example, administrative problem that could be of various type, like suppose student is not getting the self-learning material on time, okay, not receiving the admit card for the examination, or a student is having problem in changing the medium of instruction. Sometimes even we are also having this kind of problem, change of subject also in our integrated, because we are handling BA, B.Ed and BSc here. Sometimes students take their specialized paper in the influence of the other students. Suppose he has interest. Hello. Suppose he is having interest in economics, but he has taken geography in the influence of the other student, then it is a problem and we can't change the subject of the student. So such kind of problem are there, or by mistake sometimes subject wrongly written in the administrative documents. So academic and personal problems, they vary. There cannot be a standardized solution for the diverse problem faced, because the problem faced are heterogeneous. They are not homogeneous. They are not having similar nature. They are having different nature. Another reason that situation may be problematic for some, but not for the others. Suppose there is a situation that is problematic for you, but if you tell to others, then somebody can say it is not the problem. It is very simple and you can do it like that. So for some person it may be problematic, but other person it may not be problematic. So how people approach a problem, that is also different. Okay, so this is about the approaching a problem. Now please change the slide. Now next is the perception of a problem. Now see how you are going to perceive a problem, how you're going to take the problem. So keep it in mind that we may perceive the same problem in different ways. Hence, looking for a standardized solution that may not be advisable, because nature is different. That can be academy, that may be of different kind. So there cannot be a standardized solution of a particular problem. So this is more goes with the, like suppose there are distance learners, so their problem will be different. So heterogeneous profile of the audience is there. So that kind of nature is different, and so there cannot be a standardized solution to a problem. So we find that same situation is perceived and approached in different manners. So there cannot be a standardized solution, but there is at least an approach that works. So irrespective of the nature of the problem. So such an approach that towards a problem solving that involves scientific method. See, we always keep separate the scientific method. No, scientific attitude, scientific this inquiry, because we solve the problem. Just try to understand. Sometimes students also get confused between the problem solving and the scientific. We always have an approach towards the problem solving in a scientific method. We always try to solve the problem in a scientific way, which in turns require the mindset, or in other words, attitude, which is known as scientific attitude. Even in your own personal life situations, if you are having a problem, then you find the root cause of the problem, then you try to solve the problem in a way which is scientific. Okay, so nature of solving the problem that involves scientific method, so it is automatically involved in solving in generating the solution of the problem. So it is not apart from that. Next slide, please. So next is the scientific. So you have to create your attitude scientific for the problem solving. So there are some characteristics feature, there are some attributes that constitute this scientific attitudes. They are that first you should have faith in cause and effect relationship. What is the root of this problem? What is the cause and what will be the effect? So it is always experimental. You should a scientific attitude basic characteristic is that it have objectivity, and again it have emphasis on empirical evidences, and then it is open-minded and being receptive to novel ideas, and it involves critical thinking. So someone which is having who is having scientific attitude, that will adopt scientific method for problem solving, and this scientific method that is given by Becken, and it involves various steps. Okay, first you identify the problem, then there are two approaches to solve a problem. One is inductive, second one is deductive. So there is an attempt to find a tentative solution to the problem, and on the basis of those evidences, your solution is accepted or rejected or modified on the basis of the result of your experiments. Now, please change the slide. Now, again, activities that can lead to development. Now, these are the attributes which we have just discussed. So there are the activities which can lead to development of these attributes that comprising scientific attitude. So first activity is the discussion. Okay, like you may hold a discussion among your students during which they are encouraged to narrate anecdotes and their experiences from the real life, which support scientific attitude for the problem solving. So discussion is one way that you can develop this scientific attitude for the problem solving. First work is that you develop the scientific attitude among the students for the problem solving, because itself it is scientific in nature. Then debates, like you can arrange debates in your classroom, listening logically, putting up arguments and then counter arguments. Even there are mixed method also used, like cooperative learning strategy you can use in your debates. Okay, in so being open to diverse but rational views and the like. So this encourages critical thinking, which is essential for developing the scientific attitude. Then again, another activity is that brainstorming. So it brings out the originality of thought and encourages creative solutions. So this technique also encourages a participation of various members of the team. So it is also a very popular technique nowadays, the brainstorming, debate, discussion. These are the activities which can develop scientific attitude among the students, which is very necessary before going to generate a solution for the problem. Next slide, please. Next activity which can be do, that is exercises requiring inductive and deductive reasoning. So providing learners with real and hypothetical situations and asking them to identify. I will give the example in the next slides that how can you go for this. So then back slide please. So asking them to identify and state the problem in clear terms and bringing out the specificity and arriving at a solution. So we can develop abilities to analyze and synthesize. And another step is that the root cause analysis. You present a hypothetical problematic situation to your learners. Okay, then you ask them why. So several times till they reach the fundamental cause of the problem. So this is the way you can develop the scientific attitude. Another is the establishing cause and effect. Okay, so you can ask your learners to prepare a flow chart. Okay, flow chart to represent the relationship between the effect, okay, problem and its potential causes. This is always cause and effect. That is the nature attribute of a developing scientific attitude. Attribute of developing scientific attitude. Then another is Pareto charts. Pareto charts is basically a bar graph and factors that leading to a problem that may be represented as different bars. So height of the bar represents frequency, which may be constituted as the intensity of the factor, and the plotting is done in a descending manner with the smaller ones towards the right, and it helps to analyze the cause of a problem by identifying the factors leading to it. Like this is an example of Pareto charts. Weightage is given on the horizontal bar, and these are the criteria like in service, demotivated, social life, watching TV, household work, poor study habits. So in this example of a Pareto chart, there is a hypothetical situation in which the problem is lack of time for studying. Okay. So why the student is not having time, they are lacking time for studying. So there are various criteria like being in service to poor study habits, that sometimes they may be in service, they sometimes they may be feel demotivated, there are some social life issues, and what they watch television very much, they are involved with social media, they may have social household work, so poor study habits they are having. So these are the criteria which are representing on this bar graph. So that consume waste time. So these criteria may be studied to determine those that cannot be helped and those that can be mitigated or eliminated. So it helps in analyzing the problem and in looking for a long-term solution. Next slide, please. So these are the following steps in the problem solving. First is the first step, that is formation and appreciation of the problem. This is the basic step, the process that is adopted in a problem solving. That first you have formation and appreciation of the problem, or you can say in some where you will find this step as the confrontation with the problem, or you can say understanding the problem. So in some your teaching learning material, you may find these step is divided into two steps. Okay, first is the confrontation with the problem, second is the understanding, but here I have compiled it, formation and appreciation of the problem. So whether the students are faced with some problems in a natural way or it is posed by the teacher, okay, it should properly match the ability and capacity of the student, and it should help in achieving the objective of whatever subject you are having. Because in science teaching, because I am taking science, I am a teacher of science, so I am giving I will give the example of the sciences. So it is different for different subject experts. Okay, so that should help in achieving objective or teaching whatever subject you are having by the problem solving method. So while selecting and choosing a problem by the students, there should be some points which should kept into mind. That problem that should conform to the requirements of the topic in the hand. Okay, and it should always related with the prescribed course. Like suppose you are English teacher or you are science teacher or whatever the subject you are handling. And one major thing that you should understand, the problem that should always within the capacity of the child, it should not be out of the capacity of the child. That is why we always discuss it with the student, then the problem is formulated. Okay, so problem should always be related to the real life situation of the students. It should have maximum educational opportunity to learn and apply the facts in related to the your subject. Okay, then after making a confrontation with the problem, just please go back to the previous slide only on the steps. So it and my point is that students should have the understanding of the problem. Okay, so problem faced that should be understood well for its desired situation. Okay, so area of operation that should be clearly outlined. Second is the collection of relevant data and information. Then you will collect the data according to the problem, and students are encouraged to collect information relevant to the problem from available reports or throughout the consultation. Then they organize the data and then they analyze the collected data or information. Then they draw the conclusion or formulate hypothesis or the tentative solution, and then they select and test the hypothesis, and then they reach out the solution. Okay, then this hypothesis is accepted or rejected, revised or modified. Now please go back to the further slide. Now this is the diagrammatic representation that you first define or identify the problem. Then you form a hypothesis of that problem. Okay, then you make observation or you test the hypothesis, whatever hypothesis you have framed. Then is the you do the experiments on that whatever hypothesis you have framed. You done the experiments, then you make the conclusion that it is accepted or it is not accepted. If it is accepted, then that it is fine. If it is not, then you again go for the hypothesis. This is a diagrammatic presentation. Suppose your hypothesis is accepted and you draw the conclusion and then you communicate the result. But if it is not accepted and it need revision, then you again go back to your formation of this hypothesis. Now let us go for next slide. Now there are two general approaches of procedure in problem solving, which I have just briefed in my steps also, that inductive method and deductive method. Okay, so inductive method involves that the pupils are led from particular instances to general, means from specific to general. So concrete examples are given. With their help, students are helped to arrive at certain conclusion or principles. Next is the deductive method. Deductive method where the knowledge is self-acquired and soon transformed into wisdom. So from general to specific, it is opposite to that. So it promotes mental activity on the part of the pupil and makes them active participants in the learning process. Next slide, please. Now this inductive and deductive approach, I have already told you that this problem solving method is totally scientific in nature. So science is not generally done by this hypothesis testing them by performing experiments or either rejecting or accepting the original hypothesis. So the actual process of this scientific inquiry is slightly, that is more complex, requiring successive experiments and refinements of the original hypothesis or working model. So let me give the example of this problem solving. Please come to the next slide.
My voice is audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, audible.
Yes, ma'am.
So so you compare the result of model predictions, and then if your model require revision or whether it is acceptable or not. Now please go for the next slide. Now this is an example. Suppose there is an example that what factors determine the visibility of a rainbow. Okay, so this is the working model. Like you give the problem to the students that sunlight travels straight through raindrops where it is disposed into colors, then the light travels straight into my eyes. Now the proposed experiment will be, while it is raining early one morning, I will face toward the rising sun in the east to view a rainbow. This is the proposed experiment. And according to this proposed experiment, predicted result is that I will see a rainbow in the sky as I look east on a rainy morning. Now please audience tell me, will you be able to see the rainbow according to this proposed experiment? If early in the morning I will face toward the rising sun in the east to view a rainbow, and predicted result is that I will see a rainbow in the sky that I look east in the rainy morning. Will you be able to see the rainbow if you look toward the east? Yes, can anybody intervene in this? Okay, come go for the next slide. See, actual result, what will happen? No rainbow was observed toward the east. However, I did see a rainbow when I turned around, looked west. Okay, so what will be the conclusion? That my working model that requires revision. The sun must be behind me to view a rainbow, and there must be another fact in addition to light that being disposed into colors into the raindrop. And the question is, how can the light redirect it into my eyes? So such kind of the experiment, this is a very small example which always we used to teach the student in 9th or 10th class. Next slide please. Next slide. So this is a total experiment which I have written. Next slide please. Another example is there. Suppose observation as there, shrimps and algae, they are similar in color. Question is that, is shrimp color related to the algae color? Hypothesis is that shrimp color is derived from the algae color. Prediction is that shrimp will change color when diet changes. Okay. Experiment, shrimp are fed different color algae. And analysis, did shrimp color changes based on the food habits? Okay. And now the conclusion will be that hypothesis holds up or not. Now you will work on this, that is shrimp color changed on different feeding habits or different color algae? Will shrimp will change color or not? Okay, this is the habit of the shrimp. Shrimp always changes color with the whatever diet they are having, different colors algae. So such kind of example that you can give to the students. Now next slide please. So now the point is that what is the teacher's role in this problem solving? First, to get the students to define the problem very clear manner, then aid them to keep the problem in the mind and give them suggestion by encouraging them, that they can analyze the situation in the parts and they can recall previously known similar cases. Sometimes we are also having problem in our general life and we always try to recall what we have done in the past and what we can do. Somebody has done this, so I can solve the problem in that way. So we seek the examples of the other solution provider like happened in the past, so to guess and formulate guesses clearly. So another point is that teachers role is very important in problem solving. Get them time to evaluate each suggestion carefully, encourage them, and to maintain a state of doubt or suspending conclusion, and then you criticize the suggestion by appeal to know facts, experiment, and scientific reviews. So you organize the material by making the outline of the board. Suppose you want to give a problem, you want to use this method of problem solving, then you make the outline on the board, to use diagram and the graphs, and make formulate concise statement of the whatever discussion you are having to approach a problem or to formulate a problem. Next slide please. Another important thing which is also is nowadays, that is the SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat. So problem, first, like problem is lack of motivation in distant learners. So this is the problem. Okay. Strength, sound previous knowledge required for the course in which they are involved. Okay. Weakness, not having enough confidence to study in isolation from the peers and the teachers. Because when you are distant learner, then you are not having connections with the peers and teacher in a for a very long time, or you are not having for a particular period. So you are not in direct contact with them. So you are not having enough confidence to study in isolation because you are studying alone with at your own. Threats, limited access to the library and social commitments also, because when you are a distant learner, you are having limited access to the library from where you have enrolled for the courses. Now, what are the opportunities? Availability of the adequate self-learning. In distant learner always get the enough self-learning material, like IGNOU is example. So their material is very good. So you have a adequate self-learning material in different medias. And there is a scope for learning at your own pace, at your own time and place. Okay, so this is the problem and this is the SWOT analysis for your problem solving. Next slide, please. Now, decision making for the problem solving, and this is by Ritchie and Thompson in 1988, that problem solving include decision making activities, because taking a responsible decision, okay, not the decision, that is the responsible decision, that is very important, and it involve these steps like problem identification. First you identify the problem, then you generate the alternatives or generate the solution, then you evaluate and selection of the alternatives, then you implement the chosen solution, and then you monitor the result. So this is a responsible decision making for the problem solving steps, that you identify the problem, you generate the alternative, then you evaluate and you select the alternative, and then you implement the chosen solution, and then you go for the monitoring of the result. Next slide, please. So now the problem is that how to prevent this, because in problem solving there are various stresses are also working around, especially in COVID-19 scenario. So how to prevent stressful situation? First point is that you guide the learners for the time management techniques, which is very important. Okay, and you are having the session for time management, I think, in your activity program, and that is the inbuilt things of this, how to prevent stressful situation to solve the problem. So lessen ambiguities by organizing sessions for orientation and induction to the concerned programs. Then you provide timely information through mail, through telephone, through letters, through manual, through brochures, to reduce uncertainties and the stress. Or sometimes if something may be delayed, to inform about the delay. So these are the some examples which have taken, which create some stressful situation among the students, and they get anxious about that, and they come under the stress, and we can prevent all these stressful situations, because then again they lead to some kind of problem. Next example, next slide, please. So provide timely feedback regarding assignment, develop proper study habits, like encourage students to get into the habit of taking notes, regular auditing of them and supplementing them, revising the notes regularly, then carrying out the assignments and projects on the time. Then and you encourage collaborative projects among them, and during academic counseling session you also may organize group activities so that they can know each other, and working with peer group also reduces stress, because sometimes, like COVID-19 education scenario is the example of this. Maximum of the students, they were under stress because of this, because they are especially in secondary school students, and these are kids, because they are not suppose a 9th class student, that is the age that he should go with the peers and everything, and they have not received such kind of collaboration with the peers. So working with the peers is very important to develop the child. So in this COVID-19 working that is online, that also creates stress among the students. Then positive thinking, encourage your students to have only positive thoughts, as actions are the products of our thoughts. So we should try to create positive thinking to solve a problem. That how can you go for the solution of the problem? You can motivate them, you can create positive thinking among the students. Next slide, please. Now these are the some problem solving example. For example, when John goes out to his car in the morning, he discovers that he has a flat tire. In order to solve this basic problem, John must first overcome the obstacle of successfully removing the flat tire and properly attaching the new one so that he can get to work. Although he realizes that he had a few other options to choose from in regard to solving this problem, such as calling a repairman, he can call repairman, or attempting to repair the damaged tire. So John chose to problem solve the way he did due to the necessity for getting to work in a timely manner, because he manages time also. If the situation had been different, he may have chosen to use one of the other method. So this is one of the problem. I have taken in general example. Several examples are in your academics also. Another is that, another slide, please. Another common example of differentiated problem solving, that when there is a girl, Sarah, was asked to brainstorm some solution in order to save her company some extra money for this quarter. So by first identify the desired end result and the resources she had available, she is left with the following option. First option, but we have what she was having: change paper supplier that her company uses to one that makes the cheaper products. Second option, she was having lower this year holidays bonus from 5% to 2% of employee salaries. Third option, she was having that lay off her employee Tony, who has the least seniority at the company. So after considering all the options carefully, this girl decided to change paper supplier in order to prevent having to make her employees suffer the burden. So John and Sarah's situations are quite different. In the previous example, there are situation of flat tire. Okay, so John and Sarah's situation are quite different, and that require different levels of thinking and consideration and solving the unique problem that they encounter. So nature of the problem is different, thinking stages are different. Okay, so in that way, we can give example to the students in your academics also. Next. So these are the some problem solving techniques, or I have already said in my first slide, we always try to see around the problem. We never try to solve the problem. We always talk about the problems and problems. We should generate the solution. We should think about to generating the solution. There are various kinds of problem solving, like a algorithm, where specific rules or procedures are there that guarantee a solution. Another way is heuristics. Okay, shortcuts that are fast and easy but don't guarantee a solution. There are various types of this heuristic kind, that is hill climbing, generate and test, which is also known as trial and error. Then difference reduction, then means and analysis, then working backward and using analogies or imageries. That is also a problem solving technique. So let us go one by one. Next slide, please. So suppose first is the hill climbing. So here hill climbing means choosing any available option that moves you closer to your goal. Okay, whatever problem sometimes we are having, we just go for the immediate solution to the problem. Like suppose you have finding a bad smell in your house. Okay, this is the example. So whatever option available that moves to solve this problem, you will apply for that. Okay, so immediate solution of the problem. Next is the generate and test, trial and error, means generate a possible solution and test it. Okay, like arranging the furniture. You arrange the furniture in different ways. Like suppose if I will set the furniture here, then it will look good. If I will set the furniture here, then it will look good. Okay, so trial and error things are there. Okay, placing of anything in the drawing room, everything. Such kind of things are involved in. I will give an example of this trial error in detail also in further slides. Next is the difference reduction. So it is simply the process of taking one large, seemingly complicated problem, then break into smaller and more manageable problems. Sometimes problem is very complex. Okay, it is very broad, it is very large. So what we do, we are not having immediate solution. So what we have to do, we have to break into similar parts so that we can manage that problem. Okay, there are some levels of solution in the problem. First we will do this, then we will do this, then we will do this. So in that way, stage wise, you reduce the complexity of the level. Okay, you reduce the difference between the so you reduce the problem at various levels. Okay, there are different stages of you. Every time you reduce the complexity of the problem. So like the only way to eat the elephant is one bite at a time. So goes the same for the problem solving at times. Another is the means and analysis. First is identify your current state, whatever your current state you are having. Then where you want to be, your goal state, kahan par jana hai aapko. Then the means that will get you there, through which you will going to solve this problem, and then you will achieve this objective. Okay, suppose example is given here. you have applied for a job, then you are getting a particular job, then you have to pass a particular exam. Okay, so writing a class paper and to get a particular job. So this is the means and analysis example is given here. Next slide, please. Now there is a technique which I have explained again. Working backwards means similar to means, and you reduce the difference between the initial means at current state and the goals where you want to go. Working from the both ends, from initial end also at the goal end also. For example, finding lost keys, the pennies problem. Okay, I will give the example in detail in the next slides. And then the using analogies and imageries also. This is the another way of solving the problem, translating a problem into visual terms. Okay, so like the monk problem is there, taking another perspective to describe a location or appearance of something. You use the images to solve the image the problems. Next slide, please. Now see the trial and error. I have already told you what is trial and error. So at times there is no exact science to effective problem solving, especially if there are multiple supposed routes that could lead to success. So problem solving by what is known as trial and error, that simply means that individual tries one method of problem solving with some presumption that it could fail, then they will be forced to try another. So this method is ordinarily used if the consequences for the plan failing are not too detrimental or costly. For example, there is example given. David may choose this method if he is trying to solve the problem of how he prefers to cut his grass in the springtime. So if David doesn't end up liking the result of moving back and forth in lines, then he can simply wait for it to regrow and try circling around the yard instead. So in turn, David would probably not choose to use this method if his problem was more sensitive. And this might include solving the problem with the electrical wiring in his house, whereas he may choose to take the safe route and call a professional rather than risk electrocutting himself. So this example that of trial and error. Next slide, please. Difference reduction. For example, if Elizabeth's problem is being lost in the woods, so her obvious solution is to get home safely. So in order to do so, she may have to solve a number of smaller problems. First, such as figuring out where she is on the map, then rationing out her food so that she doesn't eat it all, and even possibly starting a fire to keep her warm. So this is obviously a more extreme example than most people find in their everyday lives. So, however, the principle and importance of difference reduction remains the same. So, in difference reduction, we try to solve the problem in a different stages, and you reduce the complexity of the problem at every level. Okay, like in this example, first she figure out where she is on the map, then she also think about her food, and then if there is a cold, then he's starting a fire to keep her warm. So at every stage is she reduce the complexity of the problem. Next slide, please. Now, means and analysis is a technique which I have told you that is commonly used to solve the problem. It entails beginning with the end goal in mind and essentially breaking into several different categories of sub goals that must first be accomplished. There is no limit as to how many sub goals are required, but once they all are identified, then actions are decided upon in order to achieve the various sub goals. So this is the means and initial and the goals which you are having. Working backwards, like 10 pennies are placed on a table. So two players pick up 1, 2, or 3 pennies on each turn. The goal is to make the other player pick up the last penny. So is there a strategy that will guarantee that you will win if you go first? Okay. So this is that sometimes you solve the problem by working backward also. So this is another technique, problem solving technique. Next slide, please. Now, what are the merits of this problem solving techniques, or you can say method also? So first is that it stimulates thinking and develop reasoning power. It improves knowledge and develops study habits. Okay. Because when you go in a scientific manner, obviously it develop your scientific attitude, also your reasoning power, your critical thinking, it improves the knowledge. Then it also affords opportunity for participation in social activities, self-dependency develop the power of expression of the student. Then it also provides opportunity to the teacher to know the detail about their pupils, and also student to learn meaningful facts and which have been discovered by their own efforts. Then it also help in maintenance of discipline. Then knowledge assimilation is done very nicely as it is the result of a purposeful activity. Then also another merit is that learning become interesting in this way. Then you develop the power of critical judgment that we have already told you. This decision making power also come, critical thinking also developed. Then it helps to verify an opinion and satisfy curiosity of the learners also, because when you do the things at your own, then obviously it will satisfy your curiosity, because the approaching and formulation of problem is with the discussion of the students. In the first step we have already discussed that formulation or appreciating the problem or confronting or understanding the problem, which is the basic steps in this problem solving. So it helps to learn that how to act in a new situation. So actually problem solving problem solving techniques, whatever they are providing opportunity to have practice in analyzing as well as solving the new problems. Okay, so this helps to learn to how to act in a new situations. But every thing has positive and negative sides, so there are some demerits also. Yes, next slide please. Demerits, because it involves only mental activity and large number of students do not possess sufficient background information, therefore they do not take interest in the discussions. Then lack of suitable reference and source book for the students sometimes create problem for the students. Another, the biggest thing is that in problem solving, that it is not a 1 hour or 2 hour or 1 day work, because it involves a lot of time and the teacher find it difficult to cover the prescribed syllabus if we go for this problem solving. See, problem solving is acting in your academics and in your general things also. Okay, so when you go for this academic way, that problem solving method you want to teach in that way, so it involves lots of time and teacher find very difficult to cover the whole syllabus. But the point is that we should develop the attitude of the student in a scientific manner. Means development of scientific attitude is important for the problem solving. If you have developed the scientific attitude of the learner, then they can solve problem in their daily lives, in their real life situation, and in their academic also. So this is the way that we can think about this problem solving. But one thing we should keep it in mind, it is always scientific and it involves this inductive deductive, and this is scientific way are involved. And the important thing is to develop the critical thinking or reasoning among the student, and development of this scientific attitude among the learner, which is essential characteristics for the problem solving. So this is about the problem solving. Whatever I can told you, I hope that you enrich yourself about this. Maybe there may be some addition also, because you all are also very experienced faculties, and you are having much more examples in your subject. Because I can give only because I have a science background, so I have given the example of sciences like rainbow and shrimps and everything. So you can connect it with your subjects also. So this is from my side. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Really, it was a great pleasure to hear you and to give us such good knowledge in education world. Now, may I request Ms. Pallavi Parmar, ma'am, to give a vote of thanks.
A graceful and warm morning to one and all present here. My sincere thanks to the Almighty God for making today's event a resounding success. Thank you very much, Parvesh, Lata madam. Being in this warm month of June, you made our thoughts very cooler and clear. We had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this will surely be going to encourage us in our future events. Thanks to entire team and all the participants once again. Thanks for joining. Daily updates will be given on WhatsApp group, and please fill the feedback form. Have a good day. Thank you.